So it is now my great pleasure, indeed actually a great honour, to introduce to you Richard Kindersley. Richard, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I should say that Richard is sitting in his wonderful, remarkable studio in Kennington in London. I had the privilege to visit it a few weeks ago and came away having had one of those memorable afternoons that go down in your life as having met somebody who was very special and had the privilege to have them explain how their life and their work has informed who they've become. Richard studied lettering with his father and painting and sculpture at Cambridge School of Art. His father, David Kindersley, was a pupil of Eric Gill. Richard moved to London in 1966, working mostly with architects, for which he was awarded an honorary fellowship of the Royal Institute of British Architects. And he was also awarded the Royal Society of Arts Award for Art in Architecture commission in the new Southampton Gallery. Amongst his significant commissions and memorials and commemorative items that he has created are the standing stones for the National Museum of Scotland, the title lettering for the National Gallery of Ireland in Dublin, the British 9/11 Memorial in Grosvenor Square. There is a group of 8 standing stones for the BP International Headquarters, and he designed and carved inscriptions for Bomber Command Memorial at St. James's Park. Now, most recently, Richard has worked for the D-Day Memorial in France, undertaking the inscriptional work, designing lettering, both for hand-carved inscriptions and alphabets for the state-of-the-art digitally driven lettering machines. Awarded the National Sculpture Society USA, the Henry Herring Memorial Medal for contributions to the RAF Bomber Command 2023, and the second award in 2023 for the Normandy Landing Memorial. As you can see, everybody, it really is a remarkable history and a remarkable career. Richard was made an honorary Doctor of Lettering at Southampton University and has a studio there named after him. Richard, thank you very, very much for joining us today. I am now going to share your presentation, and I look very much forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. It is good to be able to address you all about carving a career. It is important to establish at the very beginning that you are not a corner shop or small business making widgets. You are all craftspeople with a special responsibility to maintain the tradition of fine craftsmanship. We do not undertake our work for the money, but for the love of our craft. I believe firmly that if you hold to this vision, then the rest will look after itself. When people are engaging with handmade objects, the first thing they want to do is touch the work. This simple act of touching produces a magical feedback emanating from the attention that went into the original making and then flows back through those who look and touch.
Richard, would you like me to just change your screens? Please tell me when you want me to do that.
I will, yes. Emerging from the attention that went into the original making and then flows back through those who look and touch. So first, I want you to realize that you have a very special relationship with your craft and the people who buy your work. It is essential that you practice your own work as well as responding to commissions. You need, from time to time, to be free from the constrictions of commission work and branch out and experiment. Remember this important lesson. that when a client comes to you, what they are looking for is your past. People come because they like your work. They would like another object or design along the same lines. But produce work for yourself for its own sake. It could catch the eye of a potential customer, and they might be moved to commission something new. You're not selling rows of baked beans, but through coordination of eye and hand, you are recreating part of yourself in the objects you are making. So they are very special. And what is so exciting about our work is this potential to pass on, share the act of creation. We are surrounded by machine-made objects. The process of production from designer to object has been refined to a remarkable extent. There is nothing permanent or significant about these objects. If you don't believe me, look at photographs of domestic rooms from the 1950s. Look at the furniture. Next slide. Or even more striking, car design with its baked-in obsolescence. Charming to us now, but at the time, quickly superseded by next year's model. Next slide. Then look at a Bernard Leach glazed bowl with its beauty and timelessness. It is simply just singing. Next slide. Gill sands, near a home for many of us. Gill's letter forms are both timeless in their expression of both form and utility. Next slide. Gill sand setting, medium and light. This movement during the 20th century stems from the earlier Bauhaus revulsion of Victorian type. In our daily life, we are looking for something more permanent to give meaning to our experience of everyday life. Objects made by hand have a tangible quality, more permanent and strangely reassuring. So let us come back to the title of the symposium, Carving a Career. The first thing is commitment to your craft. And in this context, I want to mention the use of computers. Next slide. I believe they can undermine the importance of craft. Computers are very useful for roughing out long inscriptions to establish letter size and line lengths. But for the notoriously difficult task of setting out spirals, this is an important point, eventually drawing by hand. When you depress a keyboard key, a capital letter E, what you get on screen is an E. You press the same key and you get an identical E, and so on and so forth, to eternity. However much you tap the key, you get the same identical letter E. If you draw a letter E, it is a heady mixture of skill, memory, experience, the surface the pencil touches, your psychological state of mind, and much more. The letters are alive with the maker. I'm sure some of you have looked back at old pieces of work and suddenly having a fragment of memory coming back of the process of making and what you were thinking about at the time. I'm not against computers, but do not let them come between you and the gestural quality of hand and eye. This is the creative dynamic, the creative juice we should celebrate and follow. So it is important, forgive me if I repeat myself, do not let computers come between you and the gestural quality of hand and eye. Or as Hamlet said, there are more things in heaven and earth, Microsoft, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Next slide. I do not address you as a latter-day Luddite. In my studio, we have 3 computers, including 2 powerful standalone workstations. In certain areas, I believe they are invaluable. They have transformed type design, condensing what was a long and ponderous process of drawing up individual letters and filling them in with Indian ink. On screen, the same process is automated, taking a mere fraction of the time. Bezier curves have enabled quick on-screen drawing, as with desktop publishing. Computers have removed the tyranny of the specialist professional and opened up design and typography to new and inventive and creative practitioners. In short, you. Next slide, please. Computers, coupled with the internet, have allowed the sending of drawings to clients, particularly architects, who now expect all designs and drawings to be sent as PDFs. The only downside of this becomes compressed, its time becomes compressed. Clients expect drawings and designs to be immediately available to them. No longer can we give the lame excuse, they're in the post. Whatever the pressure, always allow a design to mature on the drawing board before sending it off. However talented you are, however gifted you are at making, unless you engage with people, they will not see your work. My experience is mostly with architects. They are bamboozled every day with people and companies attempting to sell them stuff. Our strength is not the traveling salesperson with their bag of samples or dog-eared photographs. What they pick up on very quickly is your enthusiasm and commitment to your craft. In addition, I encourage you all to read about the history of lettering, type design, schools such as the Bauhaus and Dutch type design movement, to enable you to engage in greater depth and more interestingly with your clients about your enthusiasm for your work. I suppose the big question is, how do you meet prospective clients? Now, many of us are shy and occasionally socially clumsy or intimidated by the idea of putting yourself forward. But practice makes meetings easier. By all means, send photographs of your work to architectural practices, but also, in my view, what is more important is to try and meet architects face to face, which means going to where they hang out. For example, exhibitions, particularly exhibitions concerned with architecture, and additional lectures. Contact the RIPA for their current lecture list. You might also look at the list of lectures at the Royal Society of Arts. Always photograph and have available excellent quality images of your work. Offer to give public talks about your work. You would be as surprised how many organizations and institutions are always looking for speakers. You might start with your local library, your local architectural association, local community groups. Another area which is often proven valuable is the local press. They're always looking for interesting articles to publish about local people, particularly unusual groups like craftspeople.
Connected.
Go with a definite proposal. Have a crack at writing an article yourself. Editors trying to fill their newspapers are relieved to see ready-made copy. Remember, however wonderfully talented you are, unless people know of you, your talent will be unrecognized. You might argue that, hang on a second, I'm not selling myself, I'm promoting my work. That, of course, is true, but the conduit through which you sell your work is yourself. Social media is very important. You will no doubt know about and read about the huge shift from traditional advertising towards the internet and social media. So at the very least, you should have a page on LinkedIn, which is a more serious and focused media platform. Keep it up to date on your activities and work. Use Instagram, talk about your projects, and respond to other people's work which interests you. You should have illustrations of your work on professional Facebook site. Having a standalone website for disseminating images of your work, websites are expensive to have constructed. However, there are several hosting sites which give help in allowing self-assembly of illustrations on pre-designed sites. Slide 8. Rome can be truly inspiring. I'm afraid this is a slide the wrong way around. It's the one before. That's it, thank you. Rome can be truly inspiring. This is a fragment abandoned halfway down the Via Appia outside Rome. Note the beautiful gestural quality of the bowl of the D. You are there with the ordinator's moving hand. I was so inspired. Next slide. I was so inspired, I created an exact copy in my studio. The paradigm is 2,000 years old, but it looks so familiar and contemporary. Slide 10. This is a detail from an inscription on the Via Appia again. And I believe there are 3 uniquely special inscriptions in Rome. This one on the Via Appia, unusually a complete inscription. This is just a small detail to show the quality. Second is the Trajan inscription, and third, a small tablet in the Capitoline Museum. Read about the Renaissance and its attempts to rediscover first-century letter forms through mathematics. Their fascination with searching for mathematical paradigms and letter forms. Educate yourself in the history of lettering, and particularly how the art has been rediscovered through time by a line of talented individuals. Beginning in the UK with William Morris and following through in Germany and the Bauhaus School, itself influenced by Morris. The wonderful kinetic work of Rudolf Koch. If you haven't seen his work, please go and see it. In the United Kingdom, of course, we have Edward Johnson, Eric Gill, and Stanley Morrison, who's written a lot about type in a very interesting manner. To sum up, deepen your understanding and knowledge of your craft. At some point, you should visit Rome and see the source of much of what we do. Take your craft seriously. Give your all, and then go out and talk about it. Believe in that, and you will not fail. Thank you.
Richard, thank you so much. I think that was an extraordinary exposition of your philosophy, and I hope it will be inspirational to so many of the people that have joined us today. I have a short question for you, one that's come in. I'm waiting to see if some others will, and I do encourage everybody to do so. Do you think that there are more people engaged in the craft of letter cutting now than opposed to when you first started?
Yes, when I first started, there were very few high-end letter cutters. As far as I remember, there were not more than 4 or 5. But since then, there's been an enormous expansion in the number of people being drawn into the art and craft of letter cutting. And one of the biggest differences and most significant are the number of women who have also come into the trade. When I first started, it would have been unheard of for a woman to be in a stone shop. But today, almost half the number of people coming into lettering are women. And perhaps I shouldn't say this, but they do bring to the craft a special quality. I'm thinking of people like Sarah Moore with her fascination with colour. That when I trained, colour was rather looked down on. You should just have the purity of the cut letter. But colour can be very important.
How interesting. So can you perhaps tell us a little bit about how you started your studio? And I can see in the background the piece that is, I don't know what it is, but there's a wonderful cutout that at the end of it says "Your children" on the wall behind you. I'm sure you're very familiar with it.
Yes.
And I'm sure other people will be intrigued to know what it is.
Yes, it's an inscription cut from stainless steel. So we produced a drawing, which was then digitized and then cut with a water jet machine. The stainless steel is obviously incredibly hard and tough.
Now, I know that that's an example of you working in lots of different media and materials. And I also know that you've worked in concrete, and we mentioned the inscriptions that you created for the Normandy Landing Memorial, but that has then been used by machine. But what is your view about different materials? You've clearly covered already the discussion about not relying on computers, but how much do you encourage the use and experimentation with new technologies, new materials?
I would always encourage that. What really inspired me from quite a young age was the idea that if you're working on architecture, you should respond to the material the building is made from. So during my career, as fashions come and change in architectural materials, so I've responded. In my earlier career, I did a lot of work in concrete because of the brutalist movement, which is very fixated on concrete. But in latter years, brick came back into fashion. So I did a lot of work in brick. And what's interesting about these newer materials, or the use of old materials, is you have to invent your own techniques, your own craft to work them. So with concrete, I developed a method of cutting out the mold in reverse in expanded polystyrene using hot wire techniques. Or with brick carving, there was very little to go by. Of course, there was a famous crocodile carved by Eric Gill on the Cavendish laboratory. But apart from that, very little brick carving. So I had to reinvent the technique of how you work bricks, how you carve them. Unlike stone, bricks are very unpredictable. Each brick is very different.
When I visited you, you left a deep impression on me about talking about your commissions are a sort of reflection of work you've done in the past, and that the key thing is to do your own work to inspire you for the future. I'd love you to comment on that.
Yes, I think this is very, very important that your clients, as I said in my talk, are always wanting a pass, where they see a piece of work which they like, and naturally they want something like that. And you get trapped in a sort of treadmill with your clients. So it's important always to give up a few days a week to do your own work, completely free of clients, to experiment, to try things out, to fail. When you're dealing with a client, you always feel obliged to make the thing a success. When you're working for yourself, it doesn't matter. You can experiment, you can try new things. So it is important to work on your own work as well.
We have a question from Will, who says, do you think letter cutting machines will take business away from hand lettering artists?
No, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. And this has been proven over the years. I remember when I first started, when early letter cutting machines were coming in, everybody was saying our craft was dead. But remember this, what you are promoting, what you are selling, is not a letter stabbed into a piece of stone, but something which is alive, something that is living. And if you go and look at handmade gravestones and compare them with the machine-cut ones in a graveyard, you will immediately see what I mean. There is a big difference, and people still want that.
Richard, thank you so very much. I'm sure that this has been, well, this will leave a deep impression for many, many people. It really has been an honor for us to have you opening our symposium. We wish you prosperity, health, a very happy Christmas, and our deepest gratitude for everything that you've given us and all of your advice today. And I hope that you'll stay with us, because we have a lot of content to continue with.
Thank you.
Thank you.